If you want 3D abs like this, then watch this video.
Let's go.
What's up, everybody? I'm Coach Zach, and this is Criticalbench. In this video, we're gonna be talking all about your core, your abs, your midsection, the part of your body that both men and women universally love and desire. Why is that? Why are the abs such a good indicator of fitness, of health? Well, if you have visible, strong-looking abs, then you're probably lean all over. You can move well, and looks are not just cosmetic. The way that you move also affects the way that you look. So that is why abs are so universally wanted and desired. Another thing about your core is it's not enough just to train abs for the aesthetics, right? A lot of people say, I just want my abs to look better. I just want them to pop more. And that's fine to have that motivation. A lot of people do when they first get into the gym. But when it comes to abs and really any part of your body, training for aesthetics and function come together. Because the way that you move, like I said, affects the way that you look. Another thing when it comes to abs is there's two things that affect the way that your midsection look. That's your nutrition, obviously. We've all heard the saying, abs are made in the kitchen. If you have a good amount of body fat, then you're not gonna see your abs no matter how strong or jacked they are. Another thing that I think, in my opinion, is more neglected is your training of your abs. The way that you train your abs definitely affects the way that they look and function. What do I mean when I say core anyway? Let's define what the core is. We'll be talking about three different areas of your core. First is your transverse abdominis. That's the muscle that lies deepest, right along your spine. It actually hugs your spine. So imagine as this finger is your spine, right? Your transverse abdominis hugs it. It protects it. When you move, having a strong transverse abdominis will help protect your spine, especially during heavy lifting. Also in yoga, this transverse abdominis is what allows you to get into postures like headstand, crow. It's what allows your lower body, your hips, to feel light. Your transverse abdominis is also the muscle that a lot of bodybuilders focus on when they do the vacuum, right? A vacuum is a prized bodybuilder pose. It's very important to have the strong transverse abdominis, especially for women who are planning on becoming pregnant or have already been pregnant. The reason why is because what happens when you get pregnant? Well, you're growing a baby inside of you, and all that space needs to come from somewhere. So muscles of your midsection, specifically that transverse abdominis, have to atrophy, have to get smaller and weaker to allow the space. So I highly recommend, not during pregnancy obviously, but before and after, women that are pregnant do vacuums and other exercises that I'll be going over later in this video. Second part is your internal and external obliques. The function of these are for side bending as well as rotation. We'll be hitting specific exercises that target your obliques. And finally, the muscle that everyone is always focused on, the muscle responsible for the six-pack, the washboard look, is your rectus abdominis. Now, the function of your rectus abdominis is only has one function. This function is to bring the bottom of your rib cage and the top of your pelvis together and to bend your spine in flexion, bending it forward. So I'll be showing you the best exercises, in my opinion, for the rectus abdominis. Also, it's important to do core stabilization exercises. I'll be showing you a few, but if you really want an in-depth video on some core stabilization, isometric ab exercises that will really help you improve the way you look and function, I highly recommend you check out the video that is the pinned comment down below. There are a lot of mistakes that people make when they're training their core, when they're training their abs. First mistake is people use their hip flexors to perform the movement. Now, your abs, specifically your rectus abdominis, like I said, flex your spine. They don't bend you at the hips. However, when people perform hanging leg raises or even crunches or sit-ups, those tight, overactive hip flexors tend to take over. Another mistake that people make when training their core is they don't get the rep scheme and they don't get the intensity right. A lot of times when people are doing ab training, they put it in a circuit, right? They superset one exercise with another at the end of their workout, almost like a cardio session. Their reps are usually 20 to 30 sometimes. And now this is great to build that muscular endurance in your abs, in your core, but to build the strength, to build that look, to build the functionality of your core, you need to build strength and you need to build hypertrophy, muscle size. Those are done with rep ranges of 4 to 6 for strength and 8 to 12 for hypertrophy. Also, resistance training is extremely important. Using weight to train your abs just like you would any other body. Now, let's get to the exercises. We're gonna be working your transverse abdominis, and the best way to train this muscle is through the vacuum. Now, I'm gonna show you two versions. The easier version is done standing, and the harder version is done in tabletop. So first, we'll do one in standing. Just allow your body to relax. You're gonna let a full exhale go. So empty your lungs completely. With your lungs empty, suck your belly in. Really try to bring your belly button to your spine. When you're done, let it go and take a breath. Now you can hold this anywhere from 5 seconds to 1 minute, depending on where you're at. Just be easy with yourself. A thing to watch out for is to not allow your shoulders to come up. So don't do this. Harder version, this actually creates a little bit of resistance with your internal organs and gravity. So you're gonna come down to your hands and knees. Same thing, full exhale out. Inhale, bring your belly button to your spine, suck it in. Let it go and take a breath. One more time, breath out. Belly button towards spine. We're gonna move on to the obliques. Like I said in the beginning of this video, your obliques serve two functions. One, side bend, two, rotation. The best exercise for the side bend is the elevated oblique crunch. Just get yourself a box or a bench or anything that you can place your feet on. Place your feet there. Get into a side plank position, making sure your shoulder is directly over your elbow. Hand on your hip, or you can bring it to your obliques. Inhale as you lower down. Exhale with control, come back up. Really working on crunching here. This is a difficult move, so if it's too much, you can just work in the isometric hold and just hold in this side plank. The next movement we're gonna address is the rotation. My favorite version of the rotation is the cable chop. I'm gonna show you two versions. The first version is designed more for hypertrophy, right? This is to build the strength, the size of your obliques, and you're gonna keep your legs planted here. So, legs planted, a slight squeeze of the inner thighs, so you're not letting your knees collapse, but just squeeze your legs together while driving out and take a nice athletic stance. Now, a big mistake I see people when they're doing this is they use their arms and they turn this into an arm exercise. No. Your hands are just levers, simply levers that extend out. The movement comes from right here. Inhale and exhale, keeping the legs planted. Now for a more athletic, for a more performance-based movement, we're gonna take the same rotation, but we're just gonna add the hips and the feet. So it's more of like a pitcher would do in a baseball throw, right? It's a little more advanced, so take it easy, be slow, and lighten the weight if you have to. Inhale and exhale, explode with the hip and the foot. You can even pivot the foot a little bit, come in on the toes, inhale, come back. exhale. And that's the obliques. Now we're gonna get into everybody's favorite muscle to work when it comes to your midsection, the rectus abdominis, right? The muscle's responsible for that six-pack, that washboard abs look that everyone desires. My favorite moves for this, first we're gonna do the plank crunch. Now the thing about the plank, if you're just gonna sit here in the plank, you're just gonna do the isometric hold. Instead of just resting in your joints, I suggest find a little crunch movement, so a little flexion of the spine, engagement of that muscle. Now this plank crunch, you're gonna inhale, dip your hips down towards the earth, exhale, really crunch up. Really try to bring the bottom of your rib cage and the top of your pelvis together. Inhale down, exhale. Inhale. I like to begin each workout with that little warm-up move to really get my core going. The next move is the rope crunch. Now a lot of people be doing this, but they be doing it wrong. This is not the way to do it. You don't hinge at the hips. Right here, all I'm doing is working my hip flexors, which in most people are already tight. Key is to anchor the rope by your head, right? Really squeeze your arms together. Focus on curling your spine down. Really use your core to curl your spine. So inhale up, exhale, curl. Inhale up, exhale, curl. The next move is the weighted ball crunch. Now you can use any kind of weight. I prefer to use a plate. So you take the plate, you come down onto the ball and hold the plate directly above you, right? Make sure you have a good grip. You don't want to drop it on your head. Now, same thing with the rope crunch and the plank crunch. You curl yourself up, keeping the weight directly above you. Inhale, come down. Exhale, curl your spine up. I like to look in the middle of the plate. That's just a good reference for me. Again, do not be using your hip flexors to bring yourself up. Slow, mindful movement of curling your spine up really gets those rectus abdominis. My favorite core stabilization exercise is a plank on two balls, a Bosu ball and a stability ball. But I'm gonna walk you through 3 different levels just depending on your skill level. If you're a beginner, I suggest you just use the Bosu ball. Again, don't just rest in your joints. Find that subtle little crunch forward, that bending at the spine to really engage your core. Second variation is to have your arms down to the earth and just your legs on the ball. Same thing, little curl forward. And the final and more advanced version is both the Bosu ball and the stability ball. Right here again, curling forward and breathe. Don't allow your hips to sink. Really keep that core tight, rectus abdominis engaged, and everything is working here. Thanks for watching. Now you have the tools necessary in order to get those 3D abs. If you want to implement this into your own program, I suggest that you take 1 or 2 of the exercises that I've shown you and implement them in the beginning or the end of each workout. Vary the rep ranges depending on what type of program you're currently doing. If you're working on building muscle size, hypertrophy, then do rep ranges between 8 to 12 for your abs. If you're working on strength, 4 to 6. Muscular endurance or that pump, then 15 to 20. Change it up, keep it fresh, and stay fit. Again, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to check out that video for isometric exercises down in the pinned comments, and we'll see you next time.